have returned with another one. This time we're looking at Cayce K something Train Collision 2 years later. Can we get at least one like on this video? Just one like, at least one like. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. Just one like, because I can keep this going if you want. So let's get started. Am I playing a Zelda game?
This video was made possible by my donors at GoFundMe and my patrons at Patreon. It's thanks to your support that videos like this are still possible.
I wish I had that kind of money that
but more on all
I could pay somebody to
the video.
do a GoFundMe or a Patreon. Maybe I should make my own Patreon. I don't know.
On the railroad, traffic needs to be directed. Trains cannot be steered by their crews. They can only go where the rails go. So throwing switches to line them into different tracks is the key to their operation. And when switches are misaligned, depending on the circumstances, they can have consequences. Sometimes minor.
Is that a police car, a police van, or what? Because why else would it be right there?
Happened just recently in South Carolina.
There are like 9 stoplights.
This came to be
Could you not just have one?
Cayce Train Collision.
I'm sorry, I'm so focused on other stuff, I can't pay full attention to the story. The Cayce. Case? How's it pronounced? Or did he say it and I wasn't paying attention?
Late at night on February 3rd, 2018, Amtrak train number 91, the Silver Star, left New York City down the Northeast Corridor with the final destination of Miami, Florida, with a scheduled arrival time of 6 p.m. the next day on February 4th. The train had 7 cars and departed New York, being held by Amtrak ACS 64, number 665. When the train stopped in Washington, D.C., however, the ACS had to be changed out at Washington Union Station.
Amtrak, is that the name of a medicine?
Ended in D.C.
I don't know.
Therefore, a diesel locomotive
it's not like the name of a medicine.
To pull the Silver Star
or
south
a music
to Miami.
label or something. I don't know.
The question was Amtrak P42 DC number 47. And
Many
since it was
numbers.
an older unit built in the 90s, it had seen quite
Just call it Amtrak 47 or something.
Further down the line, a crew change took place in Hamlet,
847.
North Carolina.
I don't know.
This would
I
turn
don't
out to be
know.
the crew's last ride of their lives.
Uh-oh.
Meanwhile, in the Columbia suburb of Cayce, South Carolina...
Oh, is somebody else narrating now? What is this?
F77-03 was doing switching duties at an...
Oh, did he change bikes? Did his brake? Is it fading? What happened?
Power was 2 CSX AC-44 CW locomotives, 130 and 36, with the crew going between units...
Also, I'm sorry. I'm wondering... I'm always seeing like graffiti on like the bed or one of these cargo thingies, and like it seems like nobody is ever bothered with them, considering I never seen anybody like scrub them off.
That's right. We locked up in Silica.
Referring to locking the switch lever.
Patrick the SpongeBob. Patrick the SpongeBob. Do you read me? Over.
The engineer and conductor sat in the cab of the 130 waiting for a ride home.
Ooh, playing a video game. I love these. I love this part when he does this.
Asked the conductor if he realigned the switch at the junction of
seriously, is that another person narrating now?
The main. The conductor said he replied that he was sure.
So many windshield wipers.
The conductor
so little time.
Engineer to turn on the 130's headlights to verify the position.
It's the Weeping Willow. It's moving.
Switch, but the light did not reach.
I moved the heck away from that.
It was dark. There also
Didn't
wasn't
think that brutal.
That spun when the switch was thrown, as normally you would.
Arrow there, arrow there, arrow there, arrow there. Trying to look for more arrows.
And you wouldn't see it clearly, and only see the edge of it if it was closed, such as the main. As the target would be parallel to your view, and you will be looking at it edge on.
What?
In the end, they stayed in the cab, but at 2:26 a.m., the engineer got out of the cab to walk the 660 feet up the line to the
That's a lot of
switch to
feet.
check if it was set properly.
Could you imagine somebody with like
However,
600,000
the light of
feet?
the Amtrak
Or
locomotive
whatever,
was
6,
fast
whatever.
approaching. The engineer didn't have time to see
Is it another Weeping Willow, or is that the
before
same one?
arrival of the Amtrak, So he just stood on the nearby
It's moving more than
hillside
these other
under
trees.
the highway bridge
There's this tree
to watch
here,
the Amtrak pass
and I think
by.
that tree in the back is moving a
However,
little bit.
both of the
There's that
CSX
one.
crew were in for a shock when the Amtrak instead entered their siding that their
I
train
see
was
a
parked in.
light!
They knew a collision was imminent, and the CSX
It's my
conductor got out of the cab and
Ow!
bailed off the locomotive, while the engineer ran up
That
the
actually felt like
Luzon
it.
to avoid being hit by debris or falling rail equipment. The Amtrak crew, oblivious to what was happening when they entered the siding, noticed the CSX locomotive ahead of them and slammed on the emergency brake, knowing that these would be the last fleeting seconds they had left to live.
Yeesh. What was that? I think somebody said. And it, and the thing, pretty much almost all of the ones I've seen
The
by
Amtrak
far have
slammed
happened
into the
in the
CSX
19.
27 seconds after
Sound
2:27
like an old
a.m.,
fart.
launching the
Happened in the 20th
P-42 into the
century, and
air and over the top of
this is
130 and marked on its left
2018,
side beside the Autorack train.
which
130's
means
nose and cab were completely sheared off by
safety
the
on a
Amtrak
train track is now still not
exposing its
guaranteed
cab
for
interior.
anybody.
36 suffered damage from the debris of both 130 and 47 flying in all directions after the crash,
So
but
that's
wasn't
probably
too
going to get
badly
scrapped.
damaged. The two crew members, including the engineer and the Amtrak locomotive, were killed instantly and were the only fatalities in the crash. Luckily, as mentioned, the CSX conductor bailed out of the cab of the 130 only seconds before the collision.
Good.
None of that means that anybody on the passenger cars were okay, however. The fourth car jackknifed almost perfectly in the middle, and all of the 87 passengers on board the Amtrak train were jolted awake by the force of the collision.
Yeesh.
The 4 Amtrak cabin crew were all injured, one of them seriously. 8 passengers suffered serious injuries, 62 had minor injuries, and 3 were not injured at all. The status of the remaining 14 passengers, however, isn't known, but we do know that they survived.
Okay.
When investigators investigated the crash site, it was found that the switch at the north end of Silica siding was not aligned correctly. The conductor and engineer said that the switch was set to the main, however, it was found that wasn't true. The lack of a target or some other indicator on the switch was also a contributing factor, otherwise it would have reflected off the 130's headlights. Another factor was that the trains were running in dark signal territory as CSX was doing maintenance work on the signal system, meaning that they were totally not working at the time of the incident. This points to similar occurrences in the past that were directly caused by misaligned switches, such as the Graniteville train disaster, when a Norfolk Southern manifest collided head-on with a local train in a siding, causing a chlorine tanker to rupture open, causing 9 people to suffocate from the chlorine gas that leaked. And most similarly, a 1956 head-on collision in New Mexico between 2 Santa Fe Express trains, all because a worker threw a switch the wrong way and thought he had put a correct position. His actions left 20 dead, 7 injured, and many F units destroyed. I guess history must have repeated itself 62 years later. The NTSB released their final report on the Cayce collision in mid-2019.
After the wreck was cleaned up, the line was reopened, and CSX 130 was taken to the
Ooh, I can't
nearest
handle
shop
that.
and scrapped. CSX 36 was taken to the
Seriously,
shop
is
as
that like
well,
2
and
people?
it is currently being repaired. However, we have not seen it since the wreck. Amtrak 47 suffered severe damage to its cab after its nose was crunched after hitting the CSX locomotive. It is also presumed scrapped.
2 years have gone by since this incident, and it's very hopeful that, even though how recent this accident was, we can only hope something like this is never repeated in the future. I love making videos for you guys, but often I have to spend a lot of time and sometimes even cash in order to make these videos.
Okay. You're gonna go about his Patreon. Okay. That was an interesting one. I really think there's like 2 people talking at the same time. I don't know what's going on, but that was a good video. Uh, Again, can we get 1 like on my video? and support this other channel. That'll really help the both of us a lot.